My name is Kevin Doyle, and this is my game presentation. First, let me tell you a story. My game concept arrived to this point from an idea stemming a long time ago. The game idea came as a young gamer. I bought a console, and I only had enough money then to buy either a game or a memory card. I chose the game. The game was Resident Evil. Playing it without a memory card meant staying up days and nights to play the game on end, pausing it when I could and coming back to it when I could. Dying meant restarting the game, which was heartbreaking at the time, but once I actually completed the game, the sense of relief once I did, and also enjoyment, was an element which will stick with me to this day. So that's what I wanted to bring through to this game. So to introduce my game, it has the tagline, "How will you survive?" and the name of the game is Rainbarrel Valley. Just give you a quick overview of the game then. The main character's name is William Hamilton. He's a night fisherman who's Night of Solitude. In the forest turns into a night of unfathomable horror. The unknown chemical has been released into the river, which supplies the surrounding towns and areas with drinking water. The forest animals have drank from the river and are now infected with the chemical. This infection creates mentally unstable animals known as sub-creatures. This enhances their natural predatory instincts as they hunt for the uninfected. William Hamilton must use his wits and cunning to survive by hiding in amongst the environment and setting traps to injure or kill other predators. With limited equipment and little hope of escape, there is only one question: how will you survive? Moving on then to set the scene. The opening scene starts with William Hamilton sits by an evening meal by a campfire he's built, and he checks to see if his cell phone has any messages from his wife. He notices that there's no reception and can only make emergency calls. The camera pans out to show the game title over the opening scene. Going into more detail about William Hamilton, the main character. He has a calm mind in pressured situations and has developed outdoor skills over years of hiking excursions. His rugged exterior with his full beard and long hair can mask the family-orientated man he is. His determination, or his main determination for survival in this game, is to reunite with his wife and son so he can face anything that comes up in the pandemic ahead. The game moves on then to the first encounter, which is where William is actually night fishing at the time. The first creature he encounters is the salmon he's caught. The salmon has unusually large teeth and tries to latch on his jaw to his hand. He throws the fish back to the river, and from this point the player is aware of the change in the animals. William Hamilton states to himself, the player, he must move away from the sounds that are surrounding him at the moment and back to the camp. This begins their survival. Once he arrives to the area, he sees that it's been destroyed by animals in a rampage. The supplies that have been left behind have been damaged and are now unusable. In the wreckage, he searches for his Jeep keys and cannot find them with flashlight. He checks his backpack for supplies. So within his inventory, in his backpack, he contains a flashlight, a cell phone, fishing wire, a survival knife, night vision binoculars, a map and pen, a compass, and a first aid kit. So he retrieves his phone and makes the only phone call he can, which is he rings the emergency service to inform him of the situation he's in. They tell him of the unknown chemical, and they explain that the emergency services are dealing with similar calls from downriver around Flathead County, and will have to organise an evacuation plan. He's informed it may take several hours to put in place, and she explains that they will return with a call with information regarding the evacuation point when the rescue becomes possible. The call is ended and William decides to make his way back to the 4x4. If he could hotwire the Jeep, he could cross the river to shallow, as he did upon entering the forest. So some of the key elements of the gameplay, going through them, are the weather. Thunder and lightning are a constant throughout the night, creating a dark forest. The moonlight is faint, can be used when you're trying to conserve your flashlight power, as you have limited power, as it can give away your position as well when you're trying to hide. Contamination then. Infections to your wounds can be fatal if not treated. The bacteria that has infected the animals has infected your wound as well. The mutation results in that the chemical reacts at a much higher rate. Combat in the game. In the first half, it's mostly defensive, using the attack buttons to struggle out of grips that might be on you by other animals. Or you can set traps to eliminate some enemies permanently from the game. As a last resort, as being attacked, the player will enter a timing system, which they use the survival knife to injure the creature, giving you time to escape. In the second half of the game, it's still defensive, however you have the option of being offense. From the wreckage, which is coming up, you claim 2 guns with limited ammo, so you have to use these when they're needed. Going through movement, stealth is key to the survival. Conflicts with sub-creatures can be avoided altogether by using your surroundings to conceal the character. You have the option to climb trees and use them to cross an area when the branches are available for the character to use. Moving slowly when close to a sub-creature is advised, as sound can trigger their interest in the area. The game rules are my own design. They're the largest threat to the game itself. If you can save your progress as often as needed. However, if you die, you only have 1 life, and your save files then become inaccessible, so you have to restart. That's the feature I brought forward. This concept adds the element of fear for the player, knowing that the life you are protecting is the only one you have to attempt with. This makes the player more cautious and allows them to strategize. Your flashlight then has a battery life, which is displayed on the side of the casing. Creatures can see your light from afar, turning it off when hiding is advised. This feature can be used to the player's advantage. When you're setting traps, you can draw attention to yourself by light flashes. It's a way to get the creature to charge towards you. The survival knife then has 2 sides. One side is the thin side, which can be used to cut the fishing wire, your roll-out bandages, your adhesive tape, that kind of stuff from your first aid kit. And then the jagged side is to cut down branches. You can use the branches to create spikes for the pitfall traps, which will be coming up, and also make snare traps. If you break a leg due to one of your own traps or from a creature, you can create a splint using the branches, and it'll increase your mobility. The bottle of water. So there's many factors that affect your health in the game. The water is the only one that increases the overall well-being of the character. The night vision binoculars then, they can be used to scout out an area. The player will see animals and sub-creatures often attacking each other, allowing knowledge about the infection, and allowing the player to decide the course of action to get through the given situation. And finally, the first aid kit. As I said, water is the only one that can affect your main health bar. However, the contents of this box may help your gameplay health. The contents include assorted adhesive plasters, safety pins, roller bandages, and adhesive tape. So then, just a brief description of the traps that you can use in the game. The pitfall trap consists of spikes that have been made out of branches using your survival knife. Natural depressions in the forest can be used as a pit, and also can be stuck into the side of banks. Then the second one is the snare trap, which can be used with your fishing wire and rigging a tree, a sapling, and bending it over. So that can be used obviously to take animals out of the game permanently and break legs and that sort of stuff. But also you can fall victim to the traps yourself if you forget where they are. Just a quick note on some of the sub-creatures then. I'm going to explain the wolves. Wolves usually hunt in packs of 6 to 8 in this game, cooperating to bring down large prey. Most wolves in the pack vary in size and colour. However, the alpha male will be noticeably different for the player, as he is represented in pure white and will be larger than the others. If the alpha male is killed due to a trap or other means, the rest of the pack disperses and it gives you time to escape. There's a massive list of animals, as you may guess from a forest, that you could put into this. There's obviously bears, again varying in type. There's mountain lions throughout. That's an American forest. And the final image I have is of various types of snakes, both poisonous and constrictor. Like I said, there's a massive list of animals, and that can be gone through. After playing for several hours, then you'll come across a wreckage. It's brought together by the coordinates of the player due to the time they've played. So William receives a phone call from the refuge services and tell him of the helicopter approaching to the river north of the forest. William checks his map and marks the landing zone with a pen. William hears a deafening crash in the river close to his position as he gets close to the helicopter. As the player moves closer, he is stopped in his tracks by a cacophony of sluggish gunfire and chilling roars. With the use of the night vision binoculars, the player can see various types of sub-creatures feasting on carcasses of the pilots and the gunners. William Hamilton approaches the wreckage. Once the creatures are gone, the helicopter remains submerged in the shallow of the river. From the wreckage, William finds a bottle of water, a first aid kit, and one battery to replenish his flashlight. Two types of guns are also found. He finds the FN FAL and the Beretta M9, a handgun from the pilot, and then the gunman's rifle. Each gun has an ammo capacity of 30 rounds. The FN FAL has 30 rounds. He finds 2 clips, so it's 60 bullets, and 4 clips for the Beretta M9, which also gives him 60 bullets. They're the only bullets you have in the game, so they must be rationed. So William then looks at the marker on his map after he's come away from the wreckage. The marker that's been there since the beginning of the game marked the highway, which he marked for himself to exit. And he realizes he's using the helicopter as a bridge he can cross the river as it narrows here. He uses some adhesive tape from the first aid kit to strap the full power flashlight to the barrel of the FN, equips the gun, and looks at the path ahead. Moving on to the final scene then. After the wreckage, the sub-creatures appear more frequently, as most of the animals are now infected. So using your map and your newly acquired guns, you battle your way further. The character comes to an opening that allows the player to see a sign in the distance. Running toward the sign, you begin to be able to make out the words through the pouring rain. The sign reads, "You are now leaving Rainbarrel Valley. Please come again." Once you pass the sign, you exit the forest through a natural tunnel of trees that leads to the highway. After a short period of staggering down the highway, the character can see the lights of a vehicle in the distance. He runs into the middle of the road and drops to his knees. The men rush in the army jeep, pick him up and lie him down in the back seat and depart for the evacuation point. William awakes on a makeshift bed by the school gym, in a school gym surrounded by people. They watch the news announcement on the projector screen. The news announcement starts with a young blonde woman. She's reporting for KCFW 9 News, and she tells of the contaminated water in the Two Medicine district. As the news report goes on, she's signing off, and a man appears from behind a building at the end of the street. The morning sunlight shows the vacant look in his eyes as he charges for the newswoman. The man holds her to the ground and tears the flesh away from her torso with his teeth. In a deranged manner, he approaches and knocks the camera from the tripod to the ground, where the screen goes to white noise. From within the white noise, with the white noise engulfing the player's screen, the music of the game sounds and the words "to be continued" appear from within the noise. The screen fades to black and the credits roll. So just some points on how my game would be different from other games. Rainbarrel Valley has 2 distinct differences from most games in today's market. The combat aspect, taking away the gun combat for most of the game, forces the player to think of the situation the character is in differently and allows for other aspects of the game to be explored. Stealth and strategy in games is often an option, however gunfights is the most common way of playing chosen. This can dampen the experience. The other feature then is the time and save feature. Knowing from the beginning that you'll be in a situation for a long time allows the player to strategize for long-term survival. Adding the element of the one life means that the player must conserve his health and adds the fear of death that would not be present in conventional games, given as reloading from a previous save point allows death to have no consequence. This also increases the sense of reward upon completion. So then, just a quick note on marketing the game. Rainbarrel Valley is a PEGI 18 game. However, having more experience of other 18s games can help progression throughout this game. The game will be marketed as a survival horror, but will appeal to many types of different gamers. Any gamer looking to be challenged would look into this game. The knowledge of the One Life system and the tagline will be made public upon the first preview. The tagline, "How will you survive?" is both a question of how, as in how will you face the obstacles and with little hope of escape, and also how, as in what way will you survive, where will you go, what will you do, what elements of the game will you use to survive. Online marketing and awareness campaigns with billboards advertising what will be used to promote the interest in the game. Billboards and buses would carry a whiteboard simply asking in black letters, "How will you survive?" and the game name in the corner with the release date. This will create a mystery around the game and a mystery around the question. Once that is circulated, the advertising can turn to the competition aspect for the consumers. Advertising the competition will have the question, "Who will be the first?" This creates competition among gamers to outthink their friends and be the first to get the completion trophy at the end of the game. Only the very gifted gamers will receive the coveted trophy, completing the game with no deaths, creating bragging rights between friends and enticing people to try and challenge themselves. So that's my game concept. It's Rainbarrel Valley, and I'll take any questions if you have them.
What kind of music is the game?
There is music in the game. It's heavily based on just American style music, a lot of acoustic guitar, low tones, and it will be used in dramatic scenes as opposed to out through a whole game.
Yeah, just another question. You know, you're limited to the amount of time you have. I'm wondering, you make traps and things, but that takes a long time, so would it be like an instantaneous action that your character does, or will you actually have to take time? Will the mechanic work?
There'll be, the way I envisage it, you'll have to actually gather the supplies to make the traps, such as the pitfall traps requires 10 to 15 spikes. So that will take time to make. If you don't have the supplies, obviously you can't make it. And again, if you're being chased down by animals, you can't make the trap. You have to take the time.
Yeah.
You have to plan ahead. That's the point. So thank you. Anyone else?
The toxic waste that makes them so creatures, where exactly do they come from?
Well, that's unknown at this point. In the longer version of the news report at the end, it explains that they believe it's from an American company who's dumped the waste, the chemical waste, in the river. It's been undeclared to the EPA, and they're not sure at this point. There's a lot more will be explained in the next part of the series, but at the moment that's what I'm limited to. So thank you very much for that, and